Disneyland Paris should have a Lilo and Stitch land. In this essay, I will... Now, that's not to say other places shouldn't have a Lilo and Stitch land as well. The live-action film has been popular worldwide, and places like Japan, for instance, have a love for Stitch that matches the French and the European market. I'm choosing to focus on Disneyland Paris, however, both because it's my home park, and because they're currently rebuilding Walt Disney Studios into Disney's Adventure World. And along with that is the addition of different IP-themed lands around the lake/adventure bay, is what they're calling it, in Walt Disney Studios Park. So far, we have Frozen and Lion King planned, which is two very popular IP in the European market. Do you know what's even more popular here, though? Stitch. No matter where you go, which supermarket or shop you go to, you'll probably find him there. The line to meet him at Disneyland Paris is always one of the longest lines. They added a virtual queue to it for that reason. I believe from what Sam for God, who's another YouTuber who does Disneyland Paris videos, said that on the Disney Cruise Line, when he came out wearing a pirate outfit for Pirates Night, they actually ended up, when she was on the cruise, not putting him out anymore because it was causing so many problems with how many people wanted to see him. And they sell a lot of specific merch at Disneyland Paris for the Stitch franchise. With the new live action doing so well, I just really want them to take advantage and make the land that childhood me dreamed about. Okay, yes, I have a bit of a bias. I used to play games when I was a kid, where me and my friends inserted ourselves, as some new experiments, into Lilo and Stitch the series. We made a Lilo and Stitch theme park out of playground equipment. At school, aged 11, when we were asked to create a paper theme park for some reason, I made a Lilo and Stitch theme park. It's been a long time since then, and I have no clue what I put in there, but I have been thinking a lot about what a Lilo and Stitch land at Disneyland Paris could look like now. And that's what I'm going to go on to. So without further ado, this is my unofficial, non-affiliated with Disney plan for a Lilo and Stitch land. So the main basis of the rest of the lands that are currently being built around Adventure Bay is that it's a town or environment under the foot of a mountain. For Frozen, it's the mountain with Elsa's ice castle. For Lion King, it's Pride Rock. For Lilo and Stitch, I took a leaf out of Tokyo Disney Sea's book and added the addition of a volcano to represent the mountain for this Hawaiian town. This volcano, similar to Tokyo Disney Sea, would smoke every 20 or so minutes and have lights at the top to represent eruption. I'd also want to somehow represent the scene in the original movie where Stitch drives the gas truck into lava, either with some smoke show on the volcano on each full hour, or simply with signs near the volcano telling people not to drive trucks near or into the volcano. This volcano would also, again similar to the rides in the other two lands that are being built currently, would host the main attraction of the land. There was only one ride that I knew from the beginning should be in a Lilo and Stitch themed land. One ride that screams out from the films, and that's, of course, a Hawaiian roller coaster ride. And that's exactly what I'd name the ride too. The ride's currently being built, a boat ride that's similar to Pirates of the Caribbean in the Frozen land, and Disneyland Paris' first log flume splash ride in the Lion King land, are both water-based, and there's a heavy focus on water in that side of the park, with the addition of the lake show and everything else as well. Water is also obviously a big thing in Lilo and Stitch, since they live near a beach, and the Hawaiian roller coaster ride is a metaphorical description of surfing on the ocean. After a bit of research, watching many ride videos, I had the thought of making the ride system for the Hawaiian roller coaster ride a water coaster. Part water ride, part roller coaster, with a big splash or little splash depending on the season, towards the end of the ride as you hit the waves of the ocean. So I had the name, Hawaiian roller coaster ride, the basic idea, and the concept. Now I needed a story. For that, I looked not to the film, but to the series. If you've seen Lilo and Stitch the series, you'll know the story. Lilo and Stitch, and Gantu and Hamsterville, race to collect all of Jumba's other experiments as they activate on the island. Lilo and Stitch's main mission being to find the experiment's one true home. And each experiment has different abilities, some that are perfect for the different elements I wanted in my ride. The story of the ride would be this then. Jumba has invented a new vehicle. Kind of like a surfboard that's had modifications to turn it into a spaceship. Like that. It's designed to get you to the beach quicker by taking a shortcut that he and Pleakley found when he was forced to go on a hike. This will be the vehicle that you take on your journey. You'll get into the vehicle, drive slowly round into a cave where a sign points you in the right direction to the beach, but there's something on the line in front of you blocking the path. Richter. What's he doing here? Richter, the experiment that creates earthquakes, will smile at you as he slams his tail on the floor, making the floor rumble. The floor will collapse beneath you, in actuality a trapdoor, and your vehicle will tumble downwards into the heart of the volcano itself. In here you run into other experiments, all attempting to stop the vehicle and help you out with their abilities. Think experiments like Splody Head, shooting fireballs at you, Sparky shooting your cat with electrical sparks, Yang throwing lava at the tracks to try and make it stop. Eventually, after tumbling through the volcano, you enter out into the real world again and find yourself finally at the seaside. You ride the waves, your vehicle goes through some loops, and you ride up a wave backwards. As you reach the top of the wave, you see Cannonball, the wave-making experiment, and you crash down into a giant wave. Your vehicle then floats along a bit of forest where you run into Yin, a water-blasting experiment, who gives you a final drenching before you make it back to the unloading station. And there you go. There's the story for the Hawaiian roller coaster ride. And this would obviously all be accompanied by the song Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride, because why wouldn't we have that on our Hawaiian roller coaster ride? If you have any ideas about what you would want to do for it, then comment below and I'd love to see any ideas you have. Nothing here is fully set in stone. It's all theoretical anyway. Stitch would also be featured across the ride, by the way. Perhaps with his cousins, trying to get their help. And it would hopefully just be a fun new addition to the park, featuring a partially outside coaster that's not really featured anywhere in this park currently. Crush's coaster is predominantly an inside coaster. It would also be highly merchandisable as a ride, as the cousins could also be featured on multiple merchandise pieces around the land. Speaking of merchandise, always important in a Disney park, let's head over to Kokor? Okay, I don't know how to pronounce it's the town in Lilo and Stitch, but I'm sorry, I really don't know how to pronounce it. Kokor? It's going to be the name of the town in the land, so we would have to learn how to say it from people. So if you know how to say it, please tell me. I would really like to know. We're going to head over to Kokor anyway, to what I'm calling in my working title, Stitch's Shopping Street. On one side of the town square, by a path and road segment, we have a long line of shops. For this, I've kind of used the same kind of theory that's behind Main Street in Disneyland. All shops look like individual shops, but are, for the most part, one long connected shop on the inside. So on the outside you have things like Sanders & Son Electronics, Pleakley's Dress Emporium, etc. But on the inside it's all just one big shop with Lilo and Stitch merch inside. The outside could provide some fun Easter eggs too. On the window of Bubbles Boutique, named after our friendly CIA agent, Cobra Bubbles, I added an addition of a note reading something like, "This is not an undercover operation. Please stop asking our employees whether they are spies. Signed the owner." You could even train the cast members that work in this shop to act shifty when asked the same question. Pleakley's Dress Emporium building is in the same colours as the Lilo and Stitch house, and instead of a regular sign, there's been a large sign with bright lights surrounding it placed onto the top. Feeling very out of place, as Pleakley has taken over a shop previously belonging to someone else. Of course, Pleakley's decided to go into selling fashion, and you could represent some of his outfits on alien-shaped dress dolls in the windows. In the windows of the Sanders & Son Electronics shops, another Easter egg, I added the pile of working TVs from the original film. And the idea here is that they would be showing clips from Lilo and Stitch, or original animation inserting Stitch into other properties, to add some real energy and, not connectedness, adding some energy to the scene and making it a living scene. The whole aim of the shopping street is to feel like an actual living town, and a tourist town at that, and we would add anything that helps aid that. Maybe even some stands selling postcards somewhere nearby as well, as seen in the original movie. At the very end of this street, as you go into the land, like at the end towards the volcano, there'd be an ice cream shop with large outdoor seating. Ice cream, snow cones, they're featured a lot in Lilo and Stitch, and whereas we have ice cream shops in Disneyland Paris, there's no real permanent version of them in the Studios park. There's a couple carts dotted around now and again. So far I've named this shop Aloha Ice, but again it's just a working title. I mean, do you have any ideas? Probably better than mine. In this shop we'd sell regular ice cream flavours, of course, but along with them we'd have a short, sweet Sunday menu featuring items like and forgive me for going a bit weird here, Pudge's PB&J Cup, so a peanut butter strawberry ice cream with strawberry sauce, sprinkles large wafer with a fish on it, for Pudge, the fish. Stitch's Hawaiian salad in inverted commas sundae, based loosely on the recipes I could find of the same name. This would feature 3 ice cream flavours, marshmallows, strawberry jelly pieces, caramel sauce, tin fruit, some sweets, candy, and whipped chantilly vanilla cream. Pleakley's sundae, a green cup with apple sorbet, mint ice cream, chantilly whipped cream fruit-covered hat, and a white chocolate eyeball. And taking a leaf out of a recent addition to Disneyland Paris' ice cream shop, a macaron ice cream sandwich, a pick-your-own-flavour adventure named after our favourite sandwich lover, 625's ice cream sandwich. The hope is that the macaron could also be shaped, coloured, etc. to look like the bread of a sandwich. On top of that, I envisioned a special Sunday coming in every month themed after other characters, so think Angel, Leroy, Nani, David, Jumba, other experiments, etc. The main Easter egg that I've so far thought of for this shop would be a wall of valued customers, where the predominant pictures are going to be of the snow cone guy from the Lilo and Stitch franchise. That and perhaps maybe selling slushies here also, but under the name of melted snow cones. We don't actually have any slushies at all in the Disneyland Paris park, which every other theme park I've been to has them, so it's maybe it's time to have some like slushy type things at Disneyland Paris too. Speaking of 625, however, in the outside tree-surrounded seating of the ice cream shop, I've also added a small cart, shaped like a spaceship that's being converted into a food truck, called Reuben Sandwiches, where we would sell not only things like Reuben sandwiches, but also items like spam musubi, a Hawaiian sushi featuring spam, and garlic Hawaiian rolls, warmed garlic bread inside soft Hawaiian-style rolls, which are bread rolls made with pineapple juice, and honestly well worth the make if you fancy a go. In fact, we made Alan's from Mammoth Club. He had a great recipe on his Instagram page. I will write the name of his Instagram page somewhere on this screen now. For a dessert item from this truck, we could sell something like, again I might pronounce this wrong, I'm so sorry, hopia, which is a Hawaiian coconut treat. Moving across to the other side of the street, we have our main restaurant. Now, I've gone back and forth of whether this restaurant should be a sit-down, a buffet, or a quick service. Currently, as it stands, each of those types of restaurants is represented somewhere in this park already. Sit-down being in Ratatouille, the buffet in Avengers Campus, and there's a couple of quick services around, and more coming, I think, with Frozen and Lion King. Whilst I think it could be any of those types of restaurants for this video, for this land specifically, for this video and the menu planning aspect I've been doing, I've designed it in the form of a quick service restaurant. I've called the restaurant so far, again, working title, Pelakai Luau, after Nani and Lilo. And it's designed to look like a Hawaiian luau restaurant. Quite literally, I looked up luau restaurants and used them as the basis of the drawing. The outside seating, which is at the back of the restaurant, is surrounded by grass-covered fencing, and it features the long tables and the covers from the hotel that Nani worked at in the first Lilo and Stitch film. The shade covers, obviously, in Hawaii are actually for shade. But in Paris's ever-changing weather, they would also be good rain covers. The tables can either be the long sharing tables or, more likely, regular short tables in a line. At the end of the tables, there'd be a wooden stage, again, which is similar to the original luau restaurant that Nani worked at in the original film, where you can have performers come on and do live music, etc. Think like Lucky Nugget, but actually doing music and not just having an empty stage. The theme of this entire land would be that you are there whilst the town celebrates its Aloha Festival, a celebration of aloha and the local community. And so the acts would be to celebrate that as well. Hula dancing, juggling, fire jugglers, or what looks like it if it's not possible for health and safety reasons, Elvis songs, etc. Something to watch whilst eating your food, and also from one of the queues, which I'll come on to later. The food at the Pelakai Luau is designed with Disney's Pandora in Animal Kingdom in mind. In Pandora, they have a restaurant where you can build your own rice bowl, rice, fresh ingredients, etc. And ultimately, that's what I want here in the Luau quick service. A build your own poke bowl line. Pokeballs, not only coming from Hawaii, are also popular in France and featured in supermarkets and restaurants, even in my local area, and I'm like in a countryside area. So they're not only a safe bet for popularity, but a fresher choice than many of the other choices around the park. Perfect if you're craving some, like, you know, non-fried food. And if you're not, you wouldn't have to pick the fresh items that are offered, you could pick other items. You'd be offered a choice of 3 proteins: cooked prawns, huli huli marinated chicken, or falafel, for my vegetarians out there, or those like me who just really like falafel. And then a choice of 4 sides out of a collection of fresh options: carrot, tomatoes, mango, spring onion, cucumber, fried onions, etc. And a choice of 2 dressings to finish. If Disneyland Paris wanted to stick to their usual structure, however, and just have set meal options, all of these could easily be turned into set meals. For the child's option, we actually found a Hawaiian dish we think would go down very well in France. It's called a loco moco. It's essentially a burger patty, or a steak haché in France, on top of a bed of rice with a fried egg and brown gravy. This could also just be a hot option for the adults, and the kids can also be offered a smaller version of the Pokeballs, which makes it easier across the board, if I'm honest. The dessert options could be a hopia coconut tart, also found online from recipes associated with Hawaii. It's essentially a tart filled with a coconut custard, the same thing that makes the hopia found on Ruben's sandwich truck, actually, a chocolate custard, and whipped cream. And it could be made to resemble the cake that Stitch ate in the first film and the live action, with a cherry on top. Another dessert option, and again playing to another of France's loves, which is a verrine, which is basically a dish in a glass pot, would be a take on a pineapple upside down cake. A pineapple syrup-soaked sponge with a strawberry jelly to give a nod to another Hawaiian dessert, which name should come on the screen right now, hopefully. Pineapple compote, coconut custard, chantilly cream, coloured with blue stripes for waves, grilled pineapple pieces, and a white chocolate surfboard to top it off. And I know for a fact that that white chocolate surfboard idea is already on one of the desserts offered in Victoria at the minute. So it could be done, and they do have the moulds for it. The final dessert would be a simple fruit salad, if you want some more freshness again. All of it would allow for fresh, simple, and interesting food that should be fairly easy as a system to incorporate. So, practical. Yay. Moving away from the food now. I'm sorry I took so long on that. You can tell the area I'm more confident in, okay? We go behind the row of shops to another, more hidden area where we find some other optional additions to the land. A simple Dumbo-style attraction, hopefully to replace the flying carpets, that will hopefully disappear as this park is finished, since they no longer match the park they're in, featuring the ships that Stitch rides on, and Lilo gets a toy version at the end of the film as well. At the top would be Stitch riding the ocean waves on a surfboard, and there'd be real water bubbling underneath your ship. This is kind of like a smaller ride version of riding on the Hawaiian roller coaster ride, so for younger people and for people like me who can't get on rides very easily. Riding the waves in your spaceship, so similar vibes. For extra fun, I've placed water cannons around the ride, including in a lifeguard watchtower placed nearby, where people watching can squirt water with their guns at the ships. The ships might have to dodge these to add some more gameplay to the ride. I was actually thinking of, if you know Universal Parks, they have I think it's 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish. They have that in Dr. Seuss, where they have to dodge the water. It was based on that idea, basically. Moving round, we have the one thing I realised was actually still missing from this park: a playground. You know, it was only when I was finishing this plan and finishing these drawings that I realised that they didn't have a playground in Walt Disney Studios. And, you know, I'd already started on drawing a splash pad, which is another thing that they have in other theme parks, but haven't got at DLP at all. But why does Walt Disney Studios not have a park? Like, Disneyland Paris itself has, I think, 1 or 2, or maybe even 3. That's quite a few. And yet Walt Disney Studios doesn't have a park at all. Found that very interesting. So I added a playground. This is a long way to say it. I added a children's playground into the back there. I haven't actually fully designed it, because again, I only realised as I was writing the script that there wasn't a playground. But if you do have any ideas about what it could look like, or what you think that kids would want there, just, you know, have a go, have fun. It's a fun thing to do. Draw your own play park. Draw your own theme park. Have fun together. The other thing back here is actually one of the first ideas I came up with for the land. It's a kennel, so it's the kennel that Lilo first purchased Stitch from. And I added it because it's such an important part of the story, and I didn't want to leave it out because of that. But it's also added because I realised it was the perfect place for the one bit of merchandise that I've designed for this land. The concept for this piece of merchandise, again, comes from the series. The other experiments need to find their perfect home, and where better than your home? In the kennels would be a big poster with Lilo and Stitch on it that says Adopters or something to that ilk, and inside would be merch all to do with the experiments featured throughout the main ride and elsewhere in the land. I'll come on to that soon. One of the options in this shop would be akin to actually a new merch option that was shown in Universal's new park in Orlando, Epic Universe. Specifically their mystery baby dragons, where you get to adopt a plush baby dragon that's hidden inside their egg. The box for this Stitch version would more resemble an alien pet carry case, like you would use at a kennel, and each one would have inside an adoption certificate for you to sign, a guide to look after your experiment, and an experiment pod. Not the right size of pod for a plush, like the one in How to Train Your Dragon. It would be a small ball with the experiment number on it, which you would then, after purchasing, put inside the activation machine. Probably behind the counter, but that can be built into the plan. This machine, predominantly done with screens, would take your ball through it before dropping the ball. Not a real ball, it would actually disappear into a collection sort of area, and then it would be a, fake screen version that was going through. And it would be dunked into a water tank, fake water tank, at the end. The experiment would then activate, and you could see it do so on the machine, and then it would drop the plush version of your new friend at the bottom of the machine. There we go, simples. With so many experiments featured on the series, and so many that have yet to be introduced, there's endless possibilities for how many that DLP could put into circulation. And if you don't want the mystery element, you could purchase one you can already see. You just have to look up the number. On top of this piece of merchandise, you can then purchase items for your experiment. Think Build-A-Bear. Clothes, collars, food, phones, blankets, etc. Again, there's endless things you can do with this idea, and I think, well, I hope at least, that it would be very popular with guests. The final main ride that I thought of for this land is an addition that's not completely necessary, in the sense that I don't think the land loses much if there's not enough room for it to fit. Again, I'm not an architect, so I don't know how big the land is and all that kind of stuff. On my plan, I've connected it through a tunnel hidden in the trees to the kennel shop, and it operates on either the same system as Star Tours, or what I would want it to more, the same system as Millennium Falcon, there we go, in Batuu, Star Wars Land. A ride seemingly originally proposed to come to Walt Disney Studios until they scrapped the Star Wars Land idea. And the story for this ride? Gantu has kidnapped Lilo, like in the end of the first film, and you have to chase him so that you and Stitch, who's climbing on the outside of your ship, can save her. Similarly to Millennium Falcon, you would all have different roles on board the ship. You'd have a driver, a hyperdrive operator, 2 gunmen, but instead of an engineer that they have in Millennium Falcon, I've actually added radar operators. Someone who monitors the radar screen and tells everyone which direction to go in when Gantu's ship isn't as visible, or can tell the gunmen, when other ships sneak up by the side to try and take you out. The hyperdrive, as well as taking you to different places in the Lilo and Stitch universe, will also do what Stitch does best, and crash into other places in the Disney universe, perhaps even including the real Disney parks. Think driving through scenes in The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Encanto, or even crashing into one of the scenes in the actual Millennium Falcon ride. And new versions and places can always be added, as well as you wouldn't be sure where you were going to end up every time, so it make the re-rideability more likely. You're more likely to re-ride it to figure out where you go next. In a Star Tours version of this attraction, if there's no room for the Millennium Falcon, which obviously takes more room, you could do the same storyline, but just without the play features. Perhaps even incorporating the aspects of Stitch Live nearby and having Stitch actually talk to the crowd, which then frees up the Stitch Live building for another concept to take over, Any ideas, anybody, for what that could change into? Its possibilities are endless. The main meet and greet area would be over by the main restaurant, with the queue for it, I told you I'd bring this up again, circling past so that they can also appreciate the live entertainment. The queue would also go past nature elements like a mini waterfall, etc., before reaching another luau stage. But this time the luau stage wouldn't have a back and would frame the scene behind for your picture. The Lilo and Stitch house that's perched further up the mountainside, which you could also go through or past while in the queue for the Hawaiian roller coaster ride. Every picture taken with your favourite Lilo and Stitch characters would feature this iconic house, making for a perfect thematic picture. Perfect thematic picture. That's what I meant. Perfect thematic picture. The last thing that I've added to this land is an attraction along the lines of some that appear in Epcot, and have recently been added somewhat to the caves in Disneyland Paris in Adventureland. A treasure hunt. With a card in hand, unless the app gets better and stops glitching, I'd prefer a physical version, but hopefully the app will get better soon. It will be yours and your family's job to locate all the experiments hidden in the land. This could be an experiment pod hidden in the fruit and veg seller's cart in the main square, or a full-grown experiment hiding in a shop window. To make it more playable, you could even move them every year so that they're found in new locations. Either way, the aim is to find all of the experiments before Hamsterville can get his hands on them. The other way to do this game is to treat it like the game in Star Wars Land in America, done over the app and with new clues to new areas coming all the time. But either way, the aim is to make the land come alive, have you, look around it a lot more, and add another attraction to the land so people can experience the land fully. The prizes at the end could be similar to Epcot, where you pay for the card and then receive a Stitch-themed goodie at the end, or be closer to the Star Wars one, where you win online credits with the game. Or you could offer a very simple reward, like the chocolate coins given at the end of the hotels in Disneyland Paris' treasure hunts. Either way, it should just be a bit of fun that brings you more into land and makes it more immersive. Okay, I think I'm done. Am I done? Yes, I think I'm done. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. The video took a lot longer to make as it takes me a while to draw all these pictures. What do you think of having Lilo and Stitch land at Disneyland Paris, or anywhere else in the world? Is there anything you'd want to add, or an experience you'd really want that I didn't talk about from the Lilo and Stitch universe? And do you want to see any more videos like this? I'm already thinking of doing some videos redesigning some of the menus at Disneyland Paris and their restaurants, but maybe you want to see some more full land designs. Please leave a comment down below. I'd really, really love to hear from you. And please leave a like so the algorithm can look down on us kindly, as well as subscribing if you want to see more. We have Disneyland Paris food review videos already on our channel, among other things. You can also follow us on Instagram at either literaryonionfood or literaryonionwriting. I do different things on both. Okay, I think I'll stop plugging everything now. Thank you for watching, and I really hope you're having a great day. And if you're not, I really hope one is coming for you soon. We all deserve a great day.